So really what it comes down to is the courage to be single. So I'd like to share, or the courage to be one. So I'd like to share what has come to me recently, because many of us spend some time being single on the spiritual path. Many of us spend time being single in life. So how can we understand this from a spiritual perspective? So I personally was widowed at the age of 28, and I am now 55. I love to tell people my age because I think we need to be honest about who we are, and our age is part of who we are. And I delight in the spiritual path at any age. And I delight, since the age of 50, of realizing, you know what, after we've lived a while, we've learned something. Well, part of my learning has been a few decades now of being single. And I recently had a reason that prompted me to feel some grief about this, and then to ask for assistance from the Ascended Masters with whom I work for some guidance. So I work with various Ascended Masters, several Ascended Masters who have blessed me since 2010 in particular. They have been working with me, and I asked them for some help recently because I was just feeling discouraged and wondering if I was meant to be single for the rest of my life. And you know, they've helped me. I still don't know the answer to that question, but it doesn't matter, because what I clearly heard, and I believe this teaching came from Buddha, is that it's not about having the courage to be single. That's not the issue on the spiritual path. That's not anyone's issue on the spiritual path. If we are on a spiritual path that is about unity and oneness, if we are on a spiritual path about self-realization, then we are on a spiritual path that is all about finding out who we are as being one with the divine universe. And so what I was simply told, quite simply, it's about having the courage to be one. I was literally told it's not about having the courage to be single. It's about having the courage to be one. So then we ask, what does that mean? I love asking the Ascended Masters questions like, what does that mean? And waiting for the answer to come. So the answer to the question, what does having the courage to be one mean, is multi-layered. There are many levels of truth in any spiritual teaching. The first and most simple meaning is be one with oneself. Be one and content and whole within oneself. We need to be one with ourselves. In order to do that, we need to know who we are and be comfortable with who we are and like and love ourselves. So that's one element of being one, having the courage to be one. Another element of having the courage to be one is that beautiful teaching that we are one with all of life. And so we seek that kind of oneness and having the courage to be one with all of life. Maybe you're aware of how many of us, when we are single, don't like hanging out with couples sometimes because our ego goes, oh my gosh, look how happy those couples are. Whether they're happy or not, we don't really know. But often our egos assume they must be happy because they're a couple. And so ego allows this little bit of jealousy to creep up. But if we are one with all life, we are one with the couples we see. We are one with the other singles we see. We are one with all life. And so there's no reason to be jealous. The gifts that others receive, we receive. The gifts that we receive, others receive. When we are one, there is no I have and you don't have, you have and I don't have. There is the appearance of that, to be sure. There is the feeling of that if we allow it to be so. But the truth on the spiritual plane, on a higher plane, is always that we are one. And so the gifts are many, and the gifts are shared. The real beauty of divine oneness is the sharing of all things, all blessings, all gifts. And so, for instance, the very day that I was taught that it's not about having the courage to be single, but rather about having the courage to be one, as a life coach, I got to see a couple, and I've worked with this couple a number of times. And so the woman came first, and then the husband arrived later. And when he arrived, she said, "Give me a hug." And right in front of me, a few feet away, maybe 3 or 4 feet away, they gave each other the most beautiful hug. And I sat there and I thought, I long for hugs like that. Hugs like that are beautiful, they feel good. And so I thought, right, but I was just taught that I am one. I am one with this couple, receiving and sharing this beautiful hug. So I will not separate myself out from that hug. I am one. We are one. I am is the concept of who God is, and I am is in all of us. And so as they were sharing the hug, God and I, the divine and I, were sharing the hug as well. And so I could feel that beautiful, loving vibration of the hug. They received their hug. They gave each other their hug. I received the hug as well because I could feel. I could feel the love. I could feel and give the love and share the love. I could feel the vibration and indeed hold memories of beautiful hugs as well. We are one. There's never any reason to be jealous or to feel jealous of anyone else who may be receiving what we feel like we lack or that we want or long for. Because in the spiritual realm, all the gifts are already prepared. All the gifts are there. What is important is opening up our heart to receive the gifts, to share the gifts, and to realize that we're not separate from the gifts even now in this moment. Courage, in its Latin form, has C-O-U-R. In the French, it's cœur, or heart. Courage requires a great heart. Whenever we have courage, our hearts are big, our hearts are expansive, our hearts are full of love. So tonight I invite you to have the courage to be one. It's not a question of whether or not you will be single now or later or the rest of your life. There's no need to fear that. Because when we find the courage to be one, we ultimately have the courage to be one with the divine presence within ourselves, with the divine life all around us. Whether it is the divine life in our pets, our favorite dog or cat, or a loved one, family members, friends. Today I spent some time with a spiritual friend walking in the woods, and we had to laugh at how parallel our spiritual journeys are. We are one. We are all on this path learning lessons and sharing love. The way we share the love, the way we share the lessons doesn't really matter. The important idea to realize and to live the truth of is that we are one. So I invite you to have the courage to be one with yourself, to be one with all the beautiful couples in the world. And who knows, perhaps one day your partner may come. Because you have the courage to be one, and because you have the courage to break down the walls that might block someone else from coming into your life. That takes courage as well. Many of us put up walls and blocks, whether it's our own fears and sense of inadequacy, whether it's fear of commitment, whether it's fear of intimacy. Many of us have those fears, and so we block that oneness, that unity. And so what I invite us tonight to have is the courage to be ourselves, to be one with ourselves. The courage to be one. We are one. I thank you for your oneness with me. I thank you for your oneness with this beautiful universe. And I invite you to continue on the path of oneness with all that is sacred and holy, with holy love, with the presence, the sacred one. Om and Amen.